to Brickline Brew House, a sports-centric bar and event space. The James Beard Award-winning craft will stay involved by managing the bar and entertainment programming, with more plans for the third-floor patio space. The new concept should be open by spring.
More clouds than sun this afternoon with a high of 55. Mostly cloudy tonight with a shower or two around, low 36. Tomorrow, clouds will give way to sunshine, the high 56. Mostly sunny and warmer Friday, high 71. From the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Desk, I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg on 104.1 FM KMOX.
It's cloudy, 51 degrees in downtown St. Louis. I'm Debbie Monterey, KMOX News.
This is the Gashouse Gang on 104.1 FM KMOX. Sponsored by Saliga Heating and Cooling, a Daikin comfort dealer.
And by Overhead Door Company of St. Louis and Chesterfield Fence and Deck.
Now, the Gashouse Gang on KMOX.
That's right, baby. With you until 1 o'clock today. We are talking sports on the Gashouse Gang every day, 12 until 1, every weekday, that is. Noon until 1 on 104.1 FM KMOX and the Odyssey app. You can watch the show on Twitter. If you want to follow us at KMOX Sports, we're on YouTube and Facebook as well. Also, if you would like to stream us on the Odyssey app, do that. Put it on your phone, AUDACY. You can listen to the show. You can listen to Cardinals baseball live as well when the regular season starts and whatever games we happen to be covering here on KMOX. You can listen to for free from the Odyssey app. But now let's send it to spring training and get an update.
Now, a St. Louis Cardinals spring training report. Sponsored by St. Louis Composting. Composting, growing gardens, and making memories. And by Happy Roof. We always create happy endings on the voice of the Cardinals, KMOX.
Fellas, I can't be on with you live today as Mike Claiborne and myself have the call of the game. It's the Cardinals and the Mets from Port St. Lucie, Florida, and Clover Park. A couple notes today as the Cardinals are just getting underway. It's our first opportunity to see J.J. Weatherholt at shortstop. Now, that's a position he's played a lot, including in his minor league career. Cardinals are trying to figure out who is going to be at shortstop in those instances where Mason Wynn might get a day off. We've seen Thomas Sajacy there a fair amount here in spring, and now Weatherholt's going to get that opportunity. Weatherholt also has played some third base, and the original plan was for him to maybe get a little bit of time at third base here in spring, but with Ramon Arias on this roster now, that might not be something that ends up happening. Other notes from the lineup today: Jose Fermin is going to start at second base. Nelson Velasquez is in right field. Leo Bernal is catching. Joshua Baez is going to start today. He is at the DH. Blaze Jordan getting an opportunity at first base. We got the chance to talk with Cardinals manager Oliver Marmol earlier today. Probably the biggest thing that he said was the fact that they are going to keep Tink Hentz on a relievers program here through the rest of spring. We saw Hentz pitch and look really, really good the last night against the Washington Nationals. This doesn't mean that they are not going to put him back on a starters program at some point. They are going to reevaluate it at the end of spring. But for the run of spring training, Hentz is going to be on a relievers plan, and they hope to get him an inning or so, maybe 2 or 3 times a week, and just see how his body responds to that. It seems like there's a good possibility that they're going to keep Hentz in a reliever spot, but again, they made it very clear that that's something that's going to be reevaluated coming up at the end of spring training. If you do want to listen to today's game with Mike Claiborne and myself, it's available in a few different spots. You can go to Cardinals.com, you can go to MLB.com, and you can also go to the MLB app, and we will be with you today. Again, we are at Clover Park as the Cardinals and Mets are matched up against each other in Port St. Lucie, Florida. Matt Pauley, KMOX Sports.
Gashouse Gang here with Nate Gatter and Chris Ranji for the afternoon. Our guy Tom Ackerman is out. And so, yeah, Nate, spring training is ongoing. Just a handful of Grapefruit League games are happening right now.
Raj, geez.
But it's not, hey, man, I went to a lot of Cactus League games. I love the Cactus League.
Yeah.
I just like the setup in Arizona better. All the teams are closer.
It's convenient.
You have to drive 3 hours to get to the farthest spot.
I was at what was at the time the highest attended Cactus League game ever. It was the Cubs and the Sox at
Sloan Park.
No, at it must have been at the Sox in Glendale. And all I remember about it, I was probably in middle school at the time. And all I remember is my brother, who's a couple years younger than me, and he was a foul ball magnet when we were growing up. I wanted nothing more than to catch foul ball, and I could never get one. And this dude, like, foul balls would catch him, right? So we're sitting behind home plate. It's behind a screen, and it's underneath the, an awning, a really substantial one, like a
an
steel
overhang,
awning, overhang,
right.
whatever they on an old ballpark. And a foul ball, I wish I could remember who hit it, comes straight back. It manages to go over the screen through one of those little spots where it just hangs down from the overhang between connections, sails straight back underneath the overhang, and then bangs off a beam that's supporting the overhang and drops right in this kid's lap. I swear to God. I'm sitting 2 seats down from him, and if he hadn't caught it, it would have injured him in the groin.
Have you ever caught a foul ball in a game?
No, well, kind of. I caught one off a bounce doing a minor league baseball game that it hopped off a stadium awning and bounced once up into the booth. And I did catch it off that.
You know what? Broadcast booth catches don't count.
No,
because there's no competition. They come right up to you.
That's true. No, I have never caught one. Have you?
Yeah, I have. Well, okay, in the broadcast booth.
Well, you just said that doesn't
They don't count. They don't count, though. I had one of the fake catches.
That's the Chris Ranji experience.
I had a couple.
If you've ever sat at home and wondered what's it like to work with Chris Ranji, it's you say, yeah, I have. Here's the circumstance. He says, well, that doesn't count, but I've done it. In what circumstance? The same one you just described.
No, I was trying to tell you that I had the same thing as you.
Yes.
But it wasn't like the traditional way where you're in the seats. You have to fight somebody for it, like a child.
Was it Cactus League or a regular season game?
Yeah, regular season. Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
You ever fought a child for a foul ball?
No. I love that you asked that too, because I said I've never caught one. So that if I then said, yes, I have fought, it would imply that I fought a child and lost for that foul ball.
Great point. Well, I would argue, and actually I'm not going to argue this yet. I'm going to ask you what your opinion is. If you catch a foul ball legitimately in the seats, do you have to give it to a kid?
It would depend on the circumstances. Like, is this like a Make-A-Wish kid who's got, real good seats, no hair?
I don't know.
Then I think so. Then I think you do. And
how young? You don't have to pick a random kid, do you?
Because if it's just, no, I don't think so. If there's a kid right there who's real cute, brought their glove, really excited about the game, I'm going to give it to him because I want him to have that experience. If it's a kid who's like been on their iPad the whole time and doesn't seem to care about baseball, no, I'm probably going to keep it.
I'm keeping it regardless.
Or go give it to a kid who you actually know, who's just not at the game. I might know a kid who would really appreciate it.
In the 80s, I had an incident at Busch Stadium that has scarred me for the rest of my life. And a woman, a foul ball ended up in the stairwell. We were on the first base side. That's what I remember. And I remember the ball being in the stairwell. And I went for it. And I think my hand was on it. And this woman.
And your hand brushed hers. And there was a moment of
she grabbed the ball.
There was an awakening.
She grabbed the ball. She held it up and celebrated and ran away from me. And I thought, damn it, lady. How
old were you?
Little. I was little, 8 probably. So I've been scarred. So I thought, you know what? If I ever get a ball, I'm keeping it. That's what that lady did. I'm keeping it.
Cycles of harm. This is how they persist.
So spring training baseball is ongoing for the Cardinals. And this is one of those seasons, Nate, where we're just sort of, I do not feel at this point like I can get upset with just about anything the Cardinals do. And it's not because I think everything they do is right, or I think that they have made all the correct decisions. It's that they have finally made a change in the organization. They have switched directions. And I don't think that you can really be too upset with the direction the team has taken until they've been on that path for quite some time. So they have a new president of baseball operations. They've made some trades during the offseason. Nationally, they seem to have gotten quite a bit of praise from people like Keith Law and from Baseball America and from Baseball Prospectus and Fangraphs about what they've done with the organization, the moves they are making moving forward, that, hey, the Cardinals they got one of the top farm systems in baseball as of right now, which is what they needed to be building in the first place. Now they're doing it. So I feel like there's a great deal of leeway coming from me. And I know that for some Cardinals fans, there's an impatience that exists. And I get it because they have not been particularly good for a few years now, and you want them to get back to that. But I can't, at this moment, I just cannot help but give them grace. And they're probably going to get it from me for a while. I mean, I don't know if it's going to be all season, but I feel like we need to see where this goes first before we really get upset about anything they do.
Yeah, my feeling is the Cardinals probably, especially if you're the type of person who's been frustrated at times by the lack of clear direction from the organization in recent years, the Cardinals probably can't hurt you this year. I mean, the organization really can't do almost anything to upset me this year other than mess up the runway situation, but they're not going to do that. If they were going to do it, they would have done it by now. And Heimblum is going to be consistent and actually following through on the plan for this year. The only things that could happen this year that would really devastate my interest in following what happens this season would be injuries, especially to the young guys. You would hate to see a situation where even the only semi-young guys like the Walkers and Gormans of the world, let alone the really young guys like the Weatherholts of the world, don't get a chance to play the entire season or, more or less the entire season. That would be crushing. I mean, I just want to see those guys healthy and able to be on the field and able to develop. That's it.
This is a continuation. It's different, but it is a continuation of last year in the sense that this is all about, oh man, I'm going to say it, runway.
But this time, what makes it different from last year is last year they were saying that and they were at least partially not following through on it.
Right, because they started to win.
This year they are following through on it without question.
I mean, for like one example is Nolan Gorman. He's just got to play every day. If he's healthy, he's got to play every day. That's it. And we'll see what he does. Maybe at the end of the year it's confirmed that he's just not a good fit for them. But you got to give him everyday reps. And see what happens.
Obviously there are, as you're saying, there are restrictions on every day. Guys can only play, whatever, if he needs a day off here and there. But to me, you're talking about as long as they're healthy and available to play. Weatherholt, Wynn, Walker, Gorman, Herrera, probably Scott.
Yeah, Victor Scott.
Victor Scott. Maybe you explore some other options. I'm saying that's a maybe. And then probably for the early part of the year, I guess we don't know when he's going to be healthy. Once he's healthy, probably Nootbaar, because you'd love to see him solidify a certain amount of value so you could move him at some point. But so that's a little different than the other ones. But to me, those first five guys, Weatherholt, Wynn, Gorman, Walker, Herrera, if they're ready to go, they're in the lineup every single day. Probably Burleson too, but that I don't put him in the same category as those five in terms of the development that we're hoping to see.
This is just another see what they can do year. And that's okay. And you might be upset, and I get it, because you're right to be upset. The Cardinals allowed it to get to this point because we have spent 20 years or so expecting them to be a perennial contender, and they're not. And so we can be upset that they're here. Okay, we got to get past that now. It's time to get past the fact they are not that perennial team at the moment, because they've made a change in the organization, and now it's about giving them time, because baseball is not one of those sports like the NBA. You can have one great draft in the NBA, get the number one pick, and that guy immediately comes in and changes your organization.
Yeah.
Baseball's not like that. It does take time. And it's not like football where you can draft that right quarterback and he comes in and immediately makes a change.
They've turned over the system much more quickly than I thought they were going to be able to.
They're a top five system.
I think already that we're ahead of schedule here in a rebuild sense. I understand that being in a rebuild at all makes some people feel like they're behind schedule. But I think if you accept the rebuild is happening, the schedule is moving along just fine right now. I do want to ask you one thing, because we're talking about kind of how the lineup looks and what the goals of the season are. I had a conversation about this with Bernie Miklasz a couple of weeks ago. What hoops do you think people are going to jump through to find a way from going, we can't believe that the front office and ownership have let this roster get so bad, we're running a AAA team out there, these guys don't have what it takes, these are not my Cardinals, to by June blaming things on Ollie Marmol? How are they going to get from this roster is pathetic to it's all the manager's fault? Because they're going to find a way.
Well, I think there's quite a bit of overlap on that Venn diagram, because whenever a team is bad, I think people first go to the manager and they say, well, you got to change this up. And we got text messages about this yesterday. And one of the texts was, fire Ollie, put Yachty in there and I'll be happy. I know people want Yachty or Molina to be the manager
on the basis of no evidence. It's the most St. Louis thing that we're doing right now.
You know what? I'm not going to blame just St. Louis, because I think a lot of fans for a lot of teams, if there was a legacy all-time great player who was available to manage, they would want that guy instead of whoever is there. Legendary
Dodgers skipper Don Mattingly.
There is that's the point. That's exactly it, is that just because they were really good as a player does not mean their teams would win as manager. It's just not how it works. It's the Gashouse Gang, and it is brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, an overhead door company of St. Louis, and Chesterfield Fence and Deck. Nate Gatter, Chris Ranji. The Billikens lost last night, and it was not a good showing. We will talk about that on the show. Dale Schilly will talk City SC with us as well on the Gashouse Gang.
Debit card purchases rounded up to the nearest dollar, and the spare change goes right into your savings. And here's the best part. Together Credit Union boosts your progress by matching qualifying savings up to $8 a month. It's a free checking account that helps you achieve more automatically. Learn more, or better yet, enroll today at togethercu.org. Together Credit Union, federally insured by NCUA.
Hey, Cardinal Cowboy here. Who would have thought a car crash would have led to charities, TV shows, and cheering with the best fans in the world? I'm thankful for every day. And so are my friends at Renner Garage Door. They've been turning garage doors from zero to hero since 1966. With help from trusted brands like Delden, Amar, and LiftMaster, honest family-style service you can count on. So giddy up and get your free repair or replacement quote today. Giddy up!
RENNER, RENNER. I was ordering food for the office from the same few places for too long.
For workplaces suffering with office food fatigue, every day's a struggle.
Before starting Easy Cater, I assumed having no good vegan options for Carl in finance was normal.
Easy Cater is designed to treat OFF with a huge variety of favorite restaurants, plus tools to help you meet dietary needs and stay on budget. Used daily, one platform lets you save time and shine. Ask your app store about Easy Cater or start an order at easycater.com.
Presenting a Gain Flings love story. Dear love of my life, we were on the 12B bus this morning when I caught a whiff. A scent so fresh, so life-changing, I had to find its source. Alas, I didn't know if you were the woman in the pink freshly washed cardigan or the retired mailman next to me, but I knew one of you was my soulmate. Ah, the scent of Gain Flings. Try Gain Flings with OxyBoost and Febreze.
It's Tom Ackerman, Chesterfield Fence and Deck, the sign you have the very best, and you will have the very best in outdoor living with Chesterfield Fence and Deck. Since 1968, fences, decks, patios, sunrooms, pergolas, screen rooms, and much more for outdoor living. And when the weather starts to turn here into the spring, you're going to want to be living outside, whether it's relaxing on a Saturday morning with a cup of coffee and a newspaper. I love the newspaper. Or if you're talking about having people over on Saturday night for some cocktails. I love cocktails. Chesterfield Fence and Deck can help you out with all of those, day and night. Chesterfield Fence and Deck. They're all over it. Visit them online at chesterfieldfence.com, or even better, go visit their showroom in Chesterfield Valley. Chesterfield Fence and Deck. Mention me, Tom Ackerman. Receive 48 months interest-free financing on your next outdoor project with Chesterfield Fence and Deck.
Ready for instant curb appeal that comes with a 25-year transferable warranty? Call Rhino Shield today. We do brick, block, stucco, asbestos, aluminum, steel, cedar, and more. Over the past 20 years, we've done thousands of homes, businesses, churches, schools, condos, parking garages, large metal buildings, and strip malls, from Champaign to the Lake of the Ozarks. We do flat and sloped metal roofs to extend their lives too. Proud to be veteran-owned and manufactured in the good old USA. So we're tariff-free. We're exceeding expectations every day. Evaluations are free. A+ rated with the BBB and a lot of 5-star Google reviews. Call 877-25-RHINO, 877-25-RHINO, or 877-25rhino.com. See what we did there? Genius. Tell them, ladies.
Don't paint, don't Rhino. Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Glover here for my friends at Cantor Injury Law. Cantor is local, and we're here doing the work every day. We're right here in St. Louis, and we're ready to fight for you. CantorInjuryLaw.com or call 314-628-9999.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be solely based on advertisements.
Get ready, St. Louis area. The St. Charles Boat Show is here March 5th through 8th at the St. Charles Convention Center. See the top dealers from the Lake of the Ozarks and climb aboard your next dream boat. New models, great deals, and summer fun starts here. Visit LakeOfTheOzarksBoatDealers.com for details.
Still here, still trusted. The voice of St. Louis, KMOX.
Dayton returns the favor. Billikens beat them by 31 in St. Louis. They win by 15 here in Dayton.
No, that's not what you were looking for on the road in Ohio. The Billikens now with 3 games left to go in the season, a 15-point loss last night as they played the Dayton Flyers and just working their way toward the A-10 tournament. Got Nate Gatter and Chris Ranji on the Gashouse Gang today. Dale Schilly is going to talk some City SC with us in a moment. But, Nate, look, I said that it's possible they could lose on the road for sure. Dayton has played a lot better since, they got beaten pretty badly at Chaffetz Arena. A loss, fine. What I didn't think was going to happen or didn't feel like could happen was to be down by 20 and then lose by 15. And that was just not from start to finish. They were not really in it last night.
No, they weren't. I mean, it was a uninspired flat performance, which is surprising considering the way they've come out flat in recent games. And Josh Schertz has been adamant that can't continue. They've been able to bail themselves out of it a couple of times, but they were just never really in this game. And look, they've got 25 wins. This has been a great season. They have not lost a game at home. This has been a really, really good year, and there's a lot to be happy about. But unfortunately, because the Atlantic 10 is weak right now, and I know SLU people don't like when we say that, but it just is, certainly relative to where it was the last time SLU was a consistently ranked team during the Majerus era. But even compared to, back like 5 years ago or so, I mean, think about the Dayton team during COVID, right? I mean, it's not like Dayton's been churning out teams all the time like that, but this is an A-10 that is weak. And so SLU has a really small margin for error. And I think now it's pretty much gone. I think they could lose. If they were going to lose again and make the tournament as an at-large, I think it would have to be the A-10 championship game. I think if they lose another game, any other game,
in the regular season.
And don't win the A-10 championship, I don't think they make it. Or at the very least, they're going to be sweating it down to the end, and they're probably going to Dayton to play in the first 4 if they do get in.
Because that means you got 5 losses. If they lose one more and then you lose in the A-10.
And the question would be, let's say they win out the regular season, then lose in the A-10 semifinals. I think probably they're in, but you're not comfortable in that situation. I mean, you can ask Josh Schertz about it, how it went at Indiana State a couple of years ago when they ended up in the NIT.
6 games that year, 28-6.
They had a net of 28 or 29 or something that year and got left out of the tournament. I mean, it's just I'm a Mizzou guy too, so I don't mean to pick on Mizzou, but it's the peril of being an A-10 team or an MVC team in the case when he was at Indiana State. You could have a net in the 20s like they did and like SLU does now. And folks are talking about, wow, they're really on the edge. They're playing with fire here. Meanwhile, Mizzou is still projected in the tournament right now, and certainly they're projected in after beating Tennessee. To be fair, they've been on the bubble, but they're projected to be on the right side of the bubble right now. Going into the game against Tennessee last night, their net was 60. 60. But because they're in the SEC and they have a winning record in the SEC, they get a huge benefit of the doubt, even though they lost to Notre Dame in the non-conference and got humiliated by Illinois at Enterprise. People are like, well, Jaden Stone missed that game and Trent Pierce missed all of non-conference. SLU doesn't get that. SLU doesn't get to talk about, well, we were missing a guy for that game. That's just not how it is at the A-10 level. And unfortunately, their margin for error, I think, is almost gone.
Billikens move to 24 in the net. They are 27 in KenPom. I think Neil Payne at ESPN does a pretty good job. He's got them as one of those bubble teams that should be in. He says they should be in. They are not a lock. We're talking the mid-major programs. He's got Utah State in, Gonzaga at this point in, and really it's about the Billikens he believes should be. Now, and I think you're right, that's provided they don't really blow it the last few games here. Yeah. You've got 2 at home. You have to win the home games.
Yes.
You cannot lose either of the home games.
Can't lose the home games.
Maybe at George Mason to end the season. Maybe you can...
That's the one that if they lose it, I think there's still
hope.
There's a little bit of hope. That's if they lose one of the home games, I think they have to win the A-10 championship. If they lose to George Mason, I really hope they win the A-10 championship. But if they got to the championship game and lost, maybe they could still get in. The other thing is, we had hopes that maybe this team could work their way up to a 5 or 6 seed and not have to run into a 1 or 2 in the second round if they win. I think that's just about out the window too now. I think 7 seed is probably best case scenario for SLU.
The Billikens,
if they win out and get some help, maybe 6 is still possible, but certainly that's the ceiling, and probably 7 is the realistic ceiling.
It was a big win for Mizzou last night too.
Yeah,
it was
really important for them. I mean, I think if the season ended right this second, I think they're now pretty firmly in, whereas I would have felt it was 50-50 before.
And Illinois is just playing for a top 2 seed at this point. That's really all it is.
But securing that 2 seed, I mean, what they want is one of the 2 spots in St. Louis. Purdue, Iowa State, and Illinois are all going to want to be 2 seeds in St. Louis, and Illinois wants one of those 2 spots.
Nate Gatter, number 1 college football guy on Westwood One. He's with us. Also, big City SC guy. And that's perfect because we're going to talk to Dale Schilly, who's an even bigger City SC guy.
The biggest there is.
Biggest there is. Nate Gatter, Chris Ranji on the Gashouse Gang. Dale is next on KMOX.
Race car drivers like NASCAR champion Jesse Love are a lot like commercial drivers, pros. But even the best watch the... Samsara's AI uses billions of miles of real driving data to help fleets prevent accidents and protect drivers.
If it makes me a better driver, it'll make your fleet unstoppable.
Because even champions need a coach. Learn more at samsara.com.
Who's the greatest to ever wear the blue note? Some debate it, but only one is called the Great One. Wayne Gretzky. 2026 marks 30 years since number 99 wore the note, and we're celebrating with an exclusive keepsake on March 10th. The Blues will rock retro jerseys against the Islanders, and the first 10,000 fans score a retro Gretzky bobblehead, courtesy of Amarin. Throw on your 90 sweater and lock in your tickets now at stlouisblues.com.
Now, KMOX weather from the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Desk.
54 degrees and mostly cloudy in St. Louis. Today, a high of 55. Tonight, low of 35.
Hey guys, Kevin Wheeler here. I want to tell you about 213 Complex, and you can pick that up at supplement superstores. And quite simply, 213 Complex is the most effective and powerful all-natural weight loss supplement ever developed. Here's what it's doing for me and what it'll do for you. Boost the metabolism, gets it working at full go all the time. Helps with cravings, and man, that's a big deal for me. All-day focus energy with no jitters, no crash at the end of the day. It's a great tool for achieving your goals. Get out to supplement superstores. Tell them Kevin Wheeler sent you in. They will knock 30% off your 213 Complex, and you can find your location at supplementsuperstores.com.
If you owe back taxes, listen carefully to rule number 1. Never go up against the IRS alone. They're cracking down, freezing bank accounts, garnishing paychecks, canceling passports. Even your home or business could be at risk. But here's what they don't tell you. The IRS has powerful tax relief programs that could save you thousands if you qualify. That's why smart people call Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax resolution firm. Nobody knows these programs like the experts at Optima. Their team of tax attorneys and licensed professionals have resolved over $2 billion in tax debt for people just like you. The IRS is not stopping, so don't wait and don't take them on alone. For tax help you need, for tax help you can trust, call Optima today for a free consultation.
Call 800-348-0269. 800-348-0269. 800-348-0269.
Optima Tax Relief. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Hey guys, Glover here for my friends at Universal Windows Direct. Hopefully after 25 years together, you trust me that I only represent good companies. Universal Windows Direct is great. They have a great deal for the DJS audience. Buy 2 windows, get 2 for free. 0% interest for 36 months, so you can spread out your payments, same as cash. Also, $500 off your home improvement project. 314-334-2522 or visit universalwindowsdirect.com. Like you you'll be saying, I love my windows.
NeoVitan began with one doctor's mission to help others feel their best. After years of caring for patients, Dr. Ken Ribicki, a St. Louis physician, created NeoVitan, a line of multivitamins designed with quality, safety, and everyday wellness in mind. Each formula is made in the U.S. using the finest domestic and international ingredients to support real people living real lives. Discover the difference today with NeoVitan, available at Schnucks, Deerbergs, and neovitan.com. NeoVitan, trusted nutrition from St. Louis for St. Louis.
Now back to the Gashouse Gang, sponsored by Saliga Heating and Cooling.
And by Overhead Door Company of St. Louis and Chesterfield Fence and Deck.
On 104.1 FM, KMOX.
City SC, their season is underway with a tie game on Saturday in their home opener at Energizer Park. And we're going, man. Soccer is happening. We've got Nate Gatter today and Chris Ranji on the Gashouse Gang, and it's time to go to the guest line. And every week, this man will be appearing with us on Wednesdays. It is Dale Schilly, who is a City SC broadcaster on Y98. He is wonderful. We're so glad to be talking soccer with you, Dale. How are you?
I am great, Chris. How are you doing?
Hey, doing okay. Went to the game on Saturday, saw the Clydesdales, saw a tie. Please tell me that this team is not going to start doing this tie thing again like they did last year. It was their favorite thing to do.
They are not going to start doing this tie thing again, Chris.
What now? Okay, now say it and mean it.
See, okay, Dale, I'm glad this wasn't where I was going to go, but I'm glad that Chris brought this up because you must deal with plenty of guys. I get this response from so many people when I bring up anything soccer related, let alone MLS or City related. I immediately get they have ties and I hate ties, and you might go to a game and it ends in a tie and then it was all a waste of time or whatever. How do you handle that? Because I don't feel that at all. I could not possibly care. In fact, I think baseball games, they should play like 1 or 2 extra innings and then they should call it a tie. That's what the NFL does. They go to overtime for an extra quarter, and if it's still, or not even an extra quarter, it's 10 minutes, right? So they add 20% to the game, or a little less than that, 16, 17% to the game. And if it's still tied, then they call it a tie. But for some reason, soccer, we're the un-American ones if we end a game in a tie.
Yeah, you know what I do, Nate? I shrug my shoulders, and I know that the soccer purists that are out there that follow the game really, really closely appreciate the result, appreciate how the game is played when you're away from home, when you're at home, and that kind of stuff. And so I try to explain it, but then I just shrug my shoulders and just say, yeah, maybe if they start watching the game more or start following it a little bit closer, then they would have the same appreciation.
Yeah, I think what you're saying, and I'm with you, is that people just don't know what they're talking about. People don't get it. They don't know what they're talking about, Dale.
Yeah. Look, the game the other day, we would have loved to have had 3 points. We would have loved to have gotten the win because we had enough chances to get it. And so, for the guys that are just learning to follow the game and appreciate the sport, maybe they can appreciate the fact that we should have ended up with 3, but we only ended up with 1, so we're disappointed in that. But it's just part of the sport.
It's kind of a new team. There are new faces. There are guys gone. A new coach, a new direction of the organization. So, what really can you gain from watching one game?
Well, I think one, you can learn that there was a different structure. So the system that the team played was different than what we've seen in the past. The way the game was played was different. And talking to fans that were at the game and that have been at, season ticket holders for years, I think the consensus or the feeling was that they were intrigued with how the team was trying to play, that the team created chances through possession and ball movement and passing. So that was something different than what we've seen at different parts during the last few years. So I think we learned a lot about how the team is trying to go about getting results and winning games. I think we learned a lot about the team in just the one game.
Dale, getting away from the guys who were on the field in that first game, the big news recently as far as acquisitions was Sergio Cordova, the Venezuelan striker they signed on loan yesterday. Now, it's a loan only through the end of June. So it's effectively a 4-month loan, and with time to get work permits and visas and everything sorted out and get him up to speed in training, might not amount to much more than 10 games or so that he's going to be on the field. Do you think that this is a real loan where they're kicking the tires and they might keep him at the end? Do you think they already plan to keep him in the end of the loan? What's the plan there?
Yeah, first off, I think it's a good move just from a personnel perspective. He gives you a completely different profile than what Simon Betcher gives you as a center forward. somebody that's a little bit trickier on the ball. Simon's a good target and a good box center forward. Sergio gives you a little bit more. So that's I think from a profile perspective, it gives you something different. So I like that. And then, I was interested in the 4-month loan. I think what it does, Nate, it gives you flexibility. So you're allowed to see, how's he going to handle the league? What's it going to look like? Is he a good fit? And if he's not, you have an out. And then you're, before the summer transfer window. So you've got some opportunity there as well. So I like it. I think it's pretty shrewd move. The timing of it, I think, makes a lot of sense. And I think it indicates that we're going to see somebody of high quality in that 9 position, whether it's Sergio or somebody else. I think it shows a commitment from the club to bring in a 9 that can score goals.
That's exactly where I was going to go next, because I agree with you, because I don't know, this is getting a little deep in MLS roster machinations maybe for the average listener, but City had been constructed with 2 designated players, meaning 2 players whose wages and other associated fees don't count or don't have to qualify against the cap and don't count against the cap, and 4 under 22 initiative players. The other option is to have 3 of each. And this move, because Cordova is going to be a designated player, at least for his 4 month, converts City from 2-4 to 3-3, 3 DPs and 3 under 22s. And that costs money. So City's going to have to pay $1 million in general allocation money in order to convert that. Presumably, you wouldn't burn $1 million of allocation money just to bring in a guy for 4 months as a DP. So whether it's him as the DP beyond the loan, or whether it's somebody else, the indication here probably is that Corey Ray imagines this being a 3 DP roster going forward, and probably that DP slot is filled by either Cordova or another number 9 they bring in the summer.
And that, to me, indicates that Corey is looking to win as quick as possible, and he wants to position the team to be a playoff team, to make a run, that we haven't seen over the last couple of years. So I think it's an exciting move. I think I agree with you. I think you're looking at 3 DPs and 3 under 22s.
City announced today an extension basically for Chris Durkin, who's going to be here through the 28 season. And there's I believe an option beyond that for 28, 29. What do you think of the deal?
Yeah, I mean, I think Chris is, when I watched Daniel Edelman play, who's the player that we picked up from Red Bull, he started alongside of Chris this weekend. It's a good pairing. You have Chris's tenacity and ball winning ability. Daniel's feisty as well. A little bit cleaner, a little bit better on the ball, a little more creative. So I think that's a good match. And I just think Chris is the type of player that you need in this league. Somebody that goes out and gets after it, is not afraid to tackle. Certainly loves to mix it up in the center of the park, and you need that sort of ball winning and ability and that fight. So I like it. I think Chris is, fits the mode. As long as you have guys around him that can help settle the game down, you need somebody that's willing to go out and kick people and disrupt.
So I know that for me and for a lot of people going into this season, because it's now a couple of years removed from the playoffs, that there's an expectation this team, better get back there, because they kind of, I don't know that we were promised it, but it was, it was declared they're going to go back to the playoffs. And that was before last year. So is this team right now, as constructed, good enough to get to the playoffs, or do we need more time to find that out?
Yeah, we'll need time, but I will say this: in December, when the roster moves and what the roster looked like was announced, there was a lot of concern about lack of flexibility within the roster. I think Corey and the guys that have gone out and scouted and looked at how to rebuild the roster have done a pretty good job of adding pieces to the team that make it look a little bit different. And now the addition of Cordova, that adds a little bit, even the more change. And we haven't really seen Falou fall. We saw him at the end of last year. Mbake fall is going to be added into the mix as well. We're looking at the potential of maybe 5 starters that make the team look different than they did a year ago. And man, in December, I don't think any of us could have conceived that we would have seen that sort of change in a lineup.
Dale, is there anything that you're going to be watching for from this team over the next, let's say, month or two, maybe all the way until the World Cup break in May, that tells you they're developing in the way that you want them to?
I mean, I think the game against San Diego this weekend is going to be a big one. So not so much from a results perspective, but what do we look like? Let's face it, Charlotte did not look great the other day, but that's Charlotte. Charlotte is a team that disrupts your game. They try to steal a goal here or there, keep you off the board, limit your chances, and sneak out of games like they did the other day with a draw or with a win. San Diego is opposite. They're going to be on the ball. They're going to press you in and pin you into your own half of the field. So what I'm looking for here over the next really 5 to 6 games is against teams that can play on the ball and create chances on the ball and repress when they lose it. Are we good enough to get out of our half of the field and attack and create some moments in the front half of the field? Because Charlotte didn't pose that big of an issue. In the first half, for sure, Charlotte sat in a mid-block and we were able to get around their block. In the second half, they pressed a little bit higher, caused us some problems getting out, but we were also able to create some opportunities out of it. So now what's it going to be like when we play a team that is all out going to be pressing and they're going to be good on the ball and pin us in? So I think we'll see something this weekend, but we'll see it over the next handful.
Oh, no.
Well, at least we're almost finished.
The soccer monster got Dale.
Yeah.
The soccer monster reached up out of the pitch.
That was very, very sudden,
Dale.
too. I wonder if his phone ran out of battery.
Well, I mean, it looks like he's still connected. I think the soccer monster got
Might have been Matt Pajeski's fault.
Well, it's got to be Matt Pajeski's fault. Well, just know this. Dale Schilly, who is on the call with Joey Zanaboni every city game. They are on Y98. Here's a sister station of ours. And Dale is going to be with us every Wednesday at 12:30 right here on the Gashouse Gang. But I am fortunate. I've got Nate Gatter, who is young Mr. Soccer. You're a young far. Mr. Soccer.
I wouldn't go that far. And I tell you what, I think a lot of people probably feel this way. I need to see something this year. I'm going to be watching this year mainly because I had Apple TV anyway, and you don't have to buy season pass this year to watch.
Right.
If you have Apple TV, it's already included.
It used to be like $100 extra, but now it's just
so now
part
you
of
don't
Apple
have to pay.
TV.
I wouldn't be paying for season pass otherwise because the City have really disappointed me the last couple of years. I think I've said many times on this station some of my philosophical issues with what
Soccer
the club
Monster
was doing.
almost got you.
Yeah. Some of what the club was doing and some of my frustrations. So I am going in with a certain amount of skepticism this year, and they kind of have to win me back because I think my City interest compared to 3 years ago is waning, not just because they haven't won a lot of games, but because of the way they've approached the team. But I am open to this being a reset, much the way I feel my interest in the Cardinals and my feelings for the Cardinals are totally rejuvenated this year, even though it's not going to be a very good team, because I'm just very excited about the refreshing transparency and direction of the team. I think I'm open to the same thing happening with City, and I hope this year it does happen that way.
It's a reset.
Yes.
The City is not reset. It's different, but it's not reset. The Cardinals have done that. And I think that's a much bigger difference.
And
that's
why
I'm giving them that much leeway on it. And I think a lot of Cardinals fans are in agreement on that.
And I know that some people probably glazed over during the roster. I mean, the way that MLS rosters are constructed, it's very complicated. It's very convoluted. You don't have to understand the particulars to get the takeaway, which to me is that they are showing ambition. That you don't spend money to move to a 3 DP configuration just for a 4-month loan. Whether Cordova does well here and they're happy with him and they keep him, or they sign somebody else in the summer, this is a statement of intent and an intent to spend at least some more money on the roster going forward.
Plus, they got those Tina Turner kits.
Well,
I love them.
They look good on the pitch. I'll give them that.
Right? Big fan of those. You were going to try to poo-poo the Tina Turner kits, weren't you?
No.
Don't you dare, man.
I think they feel a little more like kind of one-off giveaway deals?
No,
than
hell
they
no.
do?
No.
She's also not from here.
What?
She's not from here. She's a little
She went to high school here.
Okay.
All right.
What about where's Miles Davis in this?
Okay. Did he wear gold?
He can wear whatever color you want.
Nate Gatter, Chris Ranji on the Gashouse Gang. That's Nate saying that stuff. That's not me. I am Mr. Tina Turner over here.
You wish.
Saliga Heating and Cooling sponsors the show, and Overhead Door Company of St. Louis and Chesterfield Fence and Deck. The Cardinals have some Hall of Fame nominees. We'll tell you about them when we come back on KMOX.
Create the ultimate raised bed garden. Imagine harvesting your own tomatoes, peppers, and cilantro for fresh salsa the whole family can enjoy. And with delivery right to your door, getting started has never been easier. Visit stlcompost.com to order a convenient delivery from your phone in seconds, or stop by one of our 9 locations in the St. Louis area. St. Louis Composting, growing gardens and making memories.
Did you see the forecast? Another huge storm is tracking right for us.
I saw. Honestly, I'm not worried.
Not worried. Your roof is older than mine.
I called Happy Roof. They did a pre-storm inspection, caught a loose flashing that would have caused a major leak.
Wow, I really need that peace of mind.
Protect your happy place before the rain starts.
Booking my free inspection at thehappyroof.com or call 314-897-2310. It's all about the happy ending.
Is your furnace on its last legs? Don't wait for a cold night to find out. Jerry Kelly and KMOX are giving you the chance to win a brand new furnace this winter season. Just go online to KMOX.com/contest through March 1st and nominate someone who you think deserves a brand new furnace. Sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning. Win a brand new furnace. For more information and contest rules, just head to KMOX.com/contests.
Working full-time but still falling behind? Learn how real estate education can help you build income and get ahead on your terms. Text radio to 88007. That's RADIO to 88007. Presented by Lifestyles Unlimited.
I built this business the old-fashioned way. Hard work and a whole lot of spreadsheets.
Yeah, about that, I upgraded us to Odoo. Odoo puts everything we need, sales, inventory, accounting, on one connected platform. No more juggling systems, no more headaches.
So it all works together?
Exactly.
Odoo is the all-in-one business software that makes running and passing on a business easier than ever. Take your business into the next generation. Try Odoo free at odoo.com. That's ODOO.com.
In a world in need of a hero, one man rises to the challenge in style. He is...
Just driving the kids to soccer practice.
Make every day feel epic in the all-new Hyundai Palisade Hybrid with up to an EPA estimated 619 miles of range on select trims, advanced tech, and class-leading interior space. Visit HyundaiUSA.com or call 562-314-4603 for more details.
And hey, come on, no cleats on the seats.
Hey guys, Glover here with my friend Stewie from Stewart's American Mortgage Corporation. Stewie, I think this is going to be a strange season for real estate. Just kind of feel it in my gut. What can people do apropos of their mortgage to put themselves in a better position to get that house?
You know what, Dave, that's a great question. There's a bidding wars that are going to happen this spring. You want to get the house. This is how you're going to make things better. Number one, we give you the power of the pre-approval letter. That means you can go into our portal and generate the letter and edit it for any amount you want up to the amount you're approved without chasing the loan officer. Number two, the bagel loan, no closing costs, no title fees, no lender fees, no appraisal fees. It's a bagel. Bagel looks like a zero, easy to remember. Add that money you would normally pay onto your bid and beat the other offers out. And you know what? The third thing is we can close fast. 10 days. They're going to look away at the other offers because most lenders take as much as 30 days to get done.
You can call or text Stewie at his personal cell phone, 314-324-4440, or you can Google the bagel loan, NMLS 226715.
Built on a century. Focused on today. The voice of St. Louis. KMOX.
From the set, the pitch. Molina singles up the middle. Here's Berkman coming around third. Hamilton with the throw home, and it goes off Young's glove.
Nate Gatter, you will be stunned. Stunned, I tell you, to find out that as the Cardinals have announced their potential Hall of Fame class for 2026, and we're talking about Cardinals Hall of Famers, the nominees have been announced. You will be shocked to find out Albert Pujols has been one of those nominees, along with Yadier Molina.
Both third ballot for me.
Third ballot. He's just trying to piss off everybody.
Like, why even? How many can you vote for? How many can go in a year?
You know what? I don't know the answer to that. I just kind of feel like they all should be in,
I
right?
feel kind of bad for the other guys who are on the ballot then. There might be some guys who are perfectly good Cardinals Hall of Fame contenders, but if only 2 guys can get in or something, then, we might as well just have Albert and Yadi on there alone, and the other guys can come back next year.
Cardinals announced the 4 finalists for the St. Louis Cardinals Hall of Fame. It is those 2 gentlemen, Albert and Yadi, along with Brian Jordan and George Hendrick. Now, Brian Jordan, I mentioned this earlier on Chris and Amy's show. BJ was one of those players. He was part of maybe, and I'm not saying it's the best Cardinals outfield, but it might be my favorite. I really was a big fan of the Brian Jordan, Ray Lankford, Ron Gant outfield. And maybe it was because it was the mid-90s when they were starting to finally have a little bit of a turnaround, because they were good in the 80s. Not so much late 80s, early 90s. It was a bit thin for them. And then mid-90s is when they really started to come back to life as an organization. Then, of course, early aughts, really good team. One of the best teams ever in 04. But that outfield, that Brian Jordan, that Ron Gant, Ray Lankford outfield, that was one of my favorites, just because it was like the start of something new, it felt like.
Brian Jordan, his last year in St. Louis, had a 7-WAR season and was not an all-star. He was never an all-star as a Cardinal. He was an all-star once in his entire career. It was the next year in Atlanta, and his WAR was half of what it was the year before, which shows you that sometimes that's how all-star voting works, is that you kind of got to, you earn it in that sense. In 96, he finished 8th in NL MVP voting, but was not an all-star. By the end of the year, 8th best player in the National League, but couldn't apparently get on the National League all-star team. That's an example of a guy who, he had a 7-win season. He had a 5.2 win season as a Cardinal. He was on some really, really good teams, as you talk about. An example of a guy who I think would have a really good chance to get in. But if there is some, it's unfortunate for him to have to share a ballot with Yadi and Albert. And I don't know that means he can't get in. Again, I don't know the rules. We can try to figure that out. But both of those guys, in particular, Brian Jordan, feel to me like perfectly solid Cardinals Hall of Famers in an ordinary sense. But when you measure their Cardinals careers against Albert and Yadi, it doesn't look so good.
No, also Brian Jordan played 3 seasons in the NFL. So I think he gets a bump for that, if you ask me. No one asked me, though. Hey, watching on YouTube, the E-Line is watching and says, those kits are fire, the Queen of Rock, talking about the Tina Turner City kits.
If people like them, That's fine by me.
Yeah. Stop.
You know what I like?
Stop yucking other people's yums.
You know what I like?
What?
W's.
Yeah, well, I agree with you. Win some games, get to the playoffs. But so do it in those.
If Tina gets me some wins, I'm happy.
Do it in those gold kits. All right. Have a great rest of your Wednesday. Nate Gatter, thanks for hanging out with me, and we'll talk to you soon.
Looking forward to it.
Gashouse Gang back tomorrow at 12 on KMOX. Bernie Miklas will join the show.